Welcome back, folks. Time now to talk Brazil. What happens now? I'm joined by Luiz Felipe from Maia, the founding partner from Maia Yoshiasu, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday!
Thank you so much.
I love that you're here on your birthday. You're very committed.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I've been celebrating my birthday at ICE for the past 10 years, I think, except for the pandemic. So it became a kind of tradition, yeah.
Yeah. And so you will get to celebrate tonight in a sort of ICE special way, perhaps?
Yeah, all this time we've made so many friends here. It's good to be here with them and celebrate.
Great. So it feels as though 2022 ended with a slight disappointment for the industry as the outgoing president failed to ratify sports betting. Do you think this effectively puts plans for regulation back to square one? What are your thoughts?
No, definitely not. Of course, it was a huge disappointment for everybody. Regulation, according to the regulator, the regulation was ready to be published. All they needed was the president to sign it. Because of the elections, he decided that he would sign it after the result. And since the former president lost the election, what we heard is that he decided not to sign it, so he wouldn't generate extra revenues for the new president. The point is, I think the market developed so much in the past years that now we have come to the point of no return. I think the new government will very likely have it regulated as soon as possible. They are still appointing the new regulators, but from what the conversation that we had, it's definitely in their agenda to have it regulated.
And is there scope for the 2018 framework to be saved under President Lula, do you think?
Yeah. The regulation will be under the law of 2018. Okay, the 4 years deadline has absolutely no consequence, so they can still have it regulated regardless of the deadline.
And this is all happening against the backdrop of a 1991 bill finally progressing in the Brazilian legislature. Do you feel this is now the focus of the industry as it pushes for regulation?
I think we have several things going on in Brazil at the same time. We have the Bill 442 that was approved by the Chamber last year and now needs to be approved by the Senate. And the good news is that the President of the Senate, Rodrigo Pacheco, and the Speaker of the House, Arthur Lira, they were both re-elected, and they're both in favor of the bill, so it will definitely help the progression. On the other hand, it's a transition. The new government have their priorities, and this is not a priority for any government. It's something that needs to be done, but it's not a priority. So we have to wait. We also had several developments on the state level, on the state lotteries. Now we're going to have sports betting license on the state level as well, and also in some municipalities. And this creates some pressure for the federal government to have sports betting regulated for the whole country. Otherwise, they're going to face the competition from the local lotteries. So I think Bill 442 is not the focus, except for land-based casinos and online casinos. Then I think that's where we should push it.
So a little bit of talk there about some of the hurdles. Are there any other hurdles that you foresee this bill facing?
Yeah, I think from the legislative standpoint, the hurdle was always to deal with the religious groups that are traditionally against gambling. I usually say that the reason why they're against is not a matter of religion, but a matter of economy. The church and gambling, we dispute the same resources. We're talking about time, attention, money, and hope of the people. So at the end of the day, the church and the gaming industry, they are always competing. I think we may have a good environment on the Congress to have it approved as soon as it is put to vote. Okay, but there will be some hurdles, as there were during the discussion at the chamber. And another thing that might happen, and I hope it doesn't, we have to avoid at all costs any kind of scandal regarding attempts of corruption, abuses, whatever. We need to, because since betting has become so popular in Brazil, the industry needs to be very careful because any negative press can create some kind of backlash and make it a new hurdle for the process.
Of course. And do you feel that players are ready and waiting for legal sports betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling? Are they eager?
Actually, the players already have so much offer for online betting and for online casino that if you ask the average person in Brazil if gaming is prohibited, they will say it's not, because they are used to seeing sponsorship by gaming companies in every single jersey in the soccer league. They are used to seeing commercials on TV, on the internet. So since advertising has been so intense in the past 2 or 3 years, most people in Brazil think that it's legal, that it's regulated. So now we are not on the time where we're discussing whether we're going to have gambling or not in Brazil. The discussion is whether the government wants to have it regulated and taxed or not, because the offer is already there. And for the players, those who have a little more knowledge of what is taking place, there is a concern about responsible gaming, AML, players' protection in general, because now we have all the offer and there is no structure for these kind of protections.
And also, considering the political division, it could create a potential culture war. Do you foresee that as a problem?
Not really. Not really. I think Brazilian population became so keen to gaming and especially sports betting that I don't see the current political disputes affecting that outcome. The point is, either if you're left wing or right wing, everybody's watching soccer, and that's the Brazilian religion at the end of the day. So, and it's always good to watch a game when place a bet and have more skin on the game and feel the emotion. So, I think that's why Brazil is, I think in the view of most operators, the market.
And you said earlier that you don't think it's very high up on the priority list for the new president. Whereabouts do you think it is on that priority list? When will they come round to deciding on it?
Yeah, you see, this transition has not been easy for the government. We had riots. There is all the negotiation with the Congress, election of the Speaker, election of the President of the Senate. The Minister of Finance is trying to implement some changes. I think they need to get the ball rolling before they can deal with any other subject. And gambling falls into this concept of other subjects. The discussions now in Brazil, they regard the official interest rate, central bank autonomy, political disputes, whether the former president will be sanctioned or sued or arrested. I think it will take some time for the dust to settle, and then the government will be able to work on other issues such as gaming.
And we saw lottery revenue hitting new heights last year in Brazil. What do you see the vertical playing in the country's gambling industry as it evolves?
I think, as most countries, I think lottery has its own space. The fact that we will have sports betting or in the future online casinos, land-based casinos, I think it does not affect the existing lottery business and the lottery model. I think the key impacts for this lottery model will come not from other gaming modalities, but from the development of the state lotteries and the municipal lotteries. In Brazil, we have 26 states plus the federal district, and each one can have their own lottery now, since the Supreme Court ruled that there was no federal monopoly. Then we have over 5,000 municipalities and there is an understanding that the municipalities could also have their own lotteries. So we are talking about potentially over 5,000 different lotteries operating in the same region, which makes absolutely no sense. So I think one of the challenges for the gaming regulator in Brazil And at the end of the day, for the courts, because this will generate litigation and the courts will have to decide, is how the lottery offer will coexist with the existing federal lottery in the other states. There is a huge discussion regarding geofencing, geoblocking, because under the Brazilian law, a contract, such as a betting contract, is deemed as executed where the offer is made. Meaning, if I am the lottery of a small city in Brazil, and I'm making the offer of the game, I could theoretically accept bets from all over the country with a city license, which makes absolutely no sense from a business standpoint. So we still have a lot to go in terms of lottery, but I think the challenges will come from the lottery itself, not from the other games.
Yeah, it sounds like a very complex landscape. Thank you for explaining it so well. And happy birthday. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you. So folks, stay tuned. Up next, we have an exciting discussion panel called Making a Splash in the LATAM region. Stay tuned for that.